Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Puranamunina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashaadhyayiniim Ambatvamanusandathami Bhagavat Gite Bhavadveshiniim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidussura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. TasmatYudhyasvaBharat. Therefore, he Bharata, Yudhyasva, arise, take up your arms and do what is right to do. Yuddha here stands for doing what is right to do. In case of Arjuna, it is Yuddha, it is battle. Whenever we are confronted with any situation, the situation demands a response from us. Because in every situation, we find ourselves playing a role. Because we naturally relate to situation, relate to the world around us. That is the nature of human being who constantly relates himself or herself around the world. The world may be father, mother, sister, brother, son, daughter, a friend, an enemy. Favorable, unfavorable. The world may be respectful, disrespectful. That's how we ourselves judge the world. Whatever the world is, it is. But as we said earlier, it is our nature to judge whatever we confront. In the words of Puja Swamiji, what we confront is called world. It may consist of a person, a situation, people, country, the whole universe. And we relate to that. The relationship gets established automatically, depending upon our perception of what we are confronting. In case of Arjuna, there was a perception that what he was confronting were the enemies. They were enemies because they sided with adharma, unrighteousness. And Arjuna and Pandavas represented dharma. Someone can ask a question, Swamiji, how do you brand all the Kaurava army as adharma? How do you brand everybody in the Pandava side as dharma? That is determined by who the leader is. The leader of the Pandavas was Yudhishthira, called Dharmaraja, embodiment of dharma. And the leader of the Kaurava side was Duryodhana, who was embodiment of adharma. He was the most wicked person. Yadyadacharati shrestha tattadeve taro janah. The rule is that whatever a leader does, his followers automatically imitate that. If Yudhishthira is a leader, then his followers will imitate him. If Duryodhana is a leader, his followers, supporters, admirers will imitate him. In that sense, we can say that the Pandava side represented dharma and the Kaurava side represented adharma. As long as that was the perception of Arjuna, his response was of one kind. He was all motivated to confront and fight and overcome the forces of adharma. His real nature of Kshatriya was invoked at that time. But as soon as his perception changed, Ahamesham mama ete, they are mine, I am theirs. They are Svajana, they are my kith and kins, my relatives, my brothers, my cousins, my teachers, Acharyaha, Pitaraha, Putraha, Tathaiva cha Pitamaha, Matulaha, Bhratulaha, etc. As soon as the perception changed, the response also changed. Now the whole battle had a different purpose, a different nature, I should say. Formerly it was the battle of righteousness, dharma against adharma. And Arjuna rightfully identified with dharma. Now it is battle of one part of the family with the other part of the family, with Svajana. And the response, the feelings arising, all of them changed. And that is how Arjuna's decision also changed. So one was ready to fight the battle, now said, Nayotse, I will not fight the battle. That Arjuna's decision, conviction, was determined by his perception, understand? Arjuna's decision was determined by what his role is under the given situation. If he was a cousin, or a brother, or an uncle, or a son, or a disciple, naturally response would be of one kind. Lord Krishna wanted him to see that that's not the case. In the battlefield, he is not a son, not a disciple. He is a warrior. What is the perception of the role? Lord Krishna wanted him to see the true nature of his role. That you are a Kshatriya first. Whose duty it is to protect dharma, protect the society by protecting dharma. If that transformation happened in Arjuna, Arjuna will have no difficulty in fighting the battle because the decision changed, because of the change of perception. Not that Arjuna was afraid of Bhishma and Drona and therefore he wanted to retreat. Na dainyam na palayanam. There was no dainya, no deenata, no helplessness in Arjuna. No palayanam, not retreat, running away, showing his back. That was not in Arjuna. And still he was ready to show his back. Because now he did not look upon himself as a Kshatriya, he looked upon himself as an individual, as Arjuna, related, as cousin, as brother, as son, as disciple. Thus, what is called duty? The word of Puja Swamiji, doing what is right. What is right in a given situation is to be determined by us, understand? Us means one who is confronting the situation. If I am confronting a situation, I should determine what my role is in this situation. And all other feelings and emotions should become subservient. My young child is saying something and I'm angry, I'm going to give him a slap. What's the right thing to do? What is my role? As long as I look upon my father, my relationship and my perception and my feeling towards the child is one. Regardless of what the child does, that's all, it's a child. As father, my affection, love, compassion are invoked. And forgiving automatically takes place. But if my role changes, I become an individual who becomes hurt because of what the child did. He defied me. He is defying me. From father, I become a hurt individual. They respond with aggression, with anger. Thus, it is very important to keep in mind what my role is. That will require me to keep all my feelings under control. When Lord Rama said that now you have to go to forest, if there was someone else, many feelings would come. What do you mean I have to go to forest? Last night you said that you are going to install me on the throne as a crown prince. Any kind of response could have been there. In fact, it's said that Lakshmana was ready to fight. He said, punish him. From son he became an enemy. He deserves to be killed. Oh, Dasharatha. You can see how different responses are there depending upon what role a person thinks that is playing. But Lord Rama's role did not change. Prasannatayana gata vishekatah tathana mamle vanavasa dukhatah mukhamo yasri raghunandanasya me karadu samanjula mangala prada. Tulsidasi says, Prasannatayana gata abhishekatah. With the news of Abhisheka that he was going to be installed as crown prince, no elation, no prasannata, no elation. Meaning he did not lose control over himself. Elation means being overjoyed, being controlled by my feeling. Tathana mamle vanavasa dukkhataha. That mukhambujashri, that beauty, the Shri on the face of Lord Rama, Mukhambuja, the beauty of his lotus mouth was like a blooming lotus. Nothing happened to that Mukhambuja Shri. Tathana Mamle. That lotus did not wane because of hearing that to go to forest. It remained ever the same. Lord Rama never forgot that I am the son and he is my father. When he gives me the kingdom, then also he is my father. When he gives me kingdom of Ayodhya, he is my father. When he gives me the kingdom of forest, then also he is my father. Then response is the right response. Response comes from one's own perception of what one is in a given situation. Otherwise, all kinds of emotions take over us. We become an individual from a son, from a father, from a teacher, from a disciple, become an individual. Then raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, all stored up emotions will manifest. I do not even realize how I am responding. I forget that I am son, I am daughter, I am brother, sister, teacher, disciple. I forget that. Become an individual not controlled by the idea or principle of duty, what's right. I become controlled by my emotions, and then I respond as an emotional person. I react. That's happened to Arjuna. an emotional response to the situation. By emotion I mean not a deliberate response, not vivekatmaka, avegatmaka. Puja Swami used to point out that there are three kinds of persons. One who is avegatmaka, who is impulsive person, acts on impulses. Other is vivekatmaka, acts on deliberation. He or she controls the impulses and deliberates and does what is right, regardless of whether you like it or not. More often than not, you may not like what is right. At that time, you have to control your like and dislike both and do what is right. This is what playing the role demands from us. Regardless of how the situation is, regardless of how I am treated by the world, manapamanayo tulya tulyo mitraripakshayo. Whether it is mana or apmanam. Mitra, friend or ari, an enemy. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Very tough. But this is what Lord Krishna teaches. Samatvam, the sameness of the mind. Sukha dukkhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo. Arjuna is not yet confronted with the outcome. But before being confronted with the outcome, before even commencing the action, was to visualize that this is a possible outcome. Sukha dukkhe, the outcome can be favorable and unfavorable. It can be gain or loss. It can be victory or defeat. This twofold outcome can be there. What Lord Krishna says, siddhi and asiddhi, success and failure, stands for all the dvandva or pairs of opposites. Ishvara has created this world as made up of dvandva. Nichari gacchati uparichadasha chakrane mikramena. The wheel goes down and comes up. So wheel of situation goes down and comes up. Sometimes down, unfavorable. Sometimes up, favorable. We cannot control that. How the world conducts itself is not under my control. That we should know. In every situation there is something that we can control and something that we cannot control. We cannot control this situation I am confronting. We cannot control the world. We wish that the world conducted itself in a certain way. We would wish. But that may or may not happen. If I am going to act like a doll, which is ruled or controlled by a sutradhara, the strings, then I am controlled by the situation. The situation pulls a string, and I dance like a doll and respond. That is impulsive. That's called samsara. That's source of all the pain and sorrow in our life. That samsara is already there. Shoka and moha is ready to manifest in every situation. That shoka and the moha, the grief and delusion which are already piled up, they're called vasanas. Everybody has. And they will manifest themselves in every situation. If I can create a distance, if I act immediately as the emotion or impulse arises, then I'm like that doll, a mechanical doll, which is controlled by a machine, by a motor, by a string. If I can create a distance, between the impulse and myself, between the world and myself, in that moment, if there is a moment when I can create distance, then I can become a deliberate person. Then I can remember what am I supposed to do. Otherwise, sangat sanjayate kamah, kamat krodho vijayate, krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhrama, smriti bhramshat buddhinasha, buddhinashat pranashyati. That piled up or built up ragadveshas called kama or krodha. Kamat krodho vijayate. That desire, expectation, demand becomes anger when not fulfilled. When anger takes over me, I lose control over myself, and then anger decides what I do. Leads to destruction. This is how Arjuna's situation is right now. He is controlled by his emotions, vasanas, impulses. This decision of Nayotse, I will not fight, is not a result of vivek or deliberation. Result of impulse. The impulsive person, a deliberate person, a spontaneous person. Avegatmakam, vivekatmakam, and sahajam. Three responses are there. Sahaja, spontaneous. Impulsive also is immediate. Spontaneous also is immediate. So very often impulsive behavior is taken to be spontaneous because he responds right away. But they are the two extremes. An impulsive behavior is invariably wrong and damaging to the one who acts and to the one upon whom the action takes place. Because it is in contradiction to the harmony. The spontaneous behavior is in keeping with the harmony. That's a great accomplishment. All those forces or impulses, they are all neutralized. We are all born with these ragadveshas, which represent all the impulses, and they usually control our behavior. Unfortunately, when my behavior is controlled by ragadveshas, it is like pouring butter into fire. The ragadveshas become more intense. I will more likely control my behavior on the next occasion. I become an impulsive person. I become a slave of my impulses. That is called bondage. That's called bandhanam, bondage. Freedom is simple. That there is no more control of my impulses on me. When in the beginning I do not allow impulse to control me, that's called deliberation, viveka. A time comes by thus conducting behavior in this manner, by acting deliberately for a long time. Every time I act deliberately, when I use viveka, what is the right given in a given situation? Not what I like or dislike. So when my commitment is to what is right, then my impulse of doing what I like or dislike does not have sway over me. I have to subdue my impulses of what I like, means also what I dislike. Raga creates a desire to do what I like. Dvesha creates the intent or desire to do what I dislike. If my commitment is to do what is right, I have to keep under check what I like or what I dislike. That also includes what I dislike. Raga makes me do what I like. Dvesha makes me do what I dislike. Viveka requires me to do what is right. If I am a deliberate person, a viveki, who deliberates in every situation, and before reacting to situation takes a moment, the word of the Pujana creates a distance. That is where the freedom is. And that distance is the freedom. The free will that we as human beings are given can become a blessing to me, an asset to me, provided I allow that free will to manifest itself, to express itself. The impulse does not allow the free will to assert itself. There is not much difference between an impulsive person and an animal or any other individual who they don't have free will. Prakritim yante bhutani nigrahah king karishyate. Everybody and every creature and the whole nature, sentient, insentient, is all controlled by Prakriti, by nature. Nigraha kim karishyate. They do not have the freedom to act against their nature, act different from their nature. They don't have that freedom. That's called free will. Absence of free will means that one is controlled by one's nature. Here nature means ragadvesha. So even when a human being also is controlled by impulses like raga dvesa, there is not much difference between a human being and an animal. Because the free will does not come into play. For doing what is right, the free will has to come into play. Always human beings, we are gifted with free will. The free will really comes into play very rarely. More often than not, our behavior is impulsive behavior. So not only we do not have the benefit of free will, but whenever we are controlled by impulses, we become more and more and more impulsive. I become a greater and greater slave. That's called bondage. Where slavery is there, helplessness is there, there is sorrow. Sarvam paravasham dukkham. Dukkha, sorrow is defined as paravashata. The helplessness, the slavery itself is dukkham. There is no separate dukkha. Sarvam atmavasham sukham. Whenever atmavashyata is there, whenever I am in charge, whenever I am acting out of viveka or deliberation, doing what is right, that is called sukham. No separate sukha or dukkha. Helplessness or slavery is called dukkha. And being master of a situation is called sukha. Therefore, the way to become happy is to be a viveki, a deliberate person. That is what dharma is given to us. That's why mulya, the values are given to us. How do I know what is right in a given situation? Follow the values, but I don't know the values. But Puja Swami used to say that everybody is born with this common sense, dharma or consciousness. That everybody, I am very clear about how I should be treated by the world. Very clear. I am very clear in my expectation of how you should treat me. You should be kind to me. You should love me. You should accept me. And I am clear about what you should not be. You should not cheat me. You should not hurt me. Our Swami pointed out, we are all very clear about how we want to be treated by the world. There is no exception. Nobody wants to be cheated, nobody wants to be hurt, nobody wants to be rejected. Everybody wants to be accepted, included, loved. I'm very clear. With human beings, we who enjoy an evolved self-consciousness, we are further conscious that others also expect me to respond to them the same manner that I expect them to respond to me. So I am also aware and conscious. The other person also does not want me to cheat him or her, hurt, insult, reject, as I would not want. Other person wants me to accept, love, be affectionate, be forgiving, not punishing, forgiving. So this is what distinguishes a human being from other creatures. Other creatures also have this awareness of how they want to be treated by others. A cat also doesn't want to be attacked, doesn't want to be killed, wants to be loved. That aspect of self-consciousness is there in a cat also, in any creature. But the cat has not yet evolved to recognize that a mouse also wants the same thing. That a mouse also doesn't want to be killed. The cat doesn't know. Meaning that Ishvara has not gifted them with this counterpart of his self-consciousness. One part is there of how I want to be treated. The other part is not there. How I am expected to treat. That's what makes it human being. That's what a deliberate person does. Remembers. Oh, wait a minute. How am I expected to conduct myself in a given situation? What is expected of me? That's called creating a distance. I always know how I want to be treated. But I forget. Then I become a cat. When I forget how I am expected to treat others and I act out of impulse, I become a cat. Understand that? When do I become a human being? In a given moment I recover. Before responding, I take a moment. Remind myself, how am I expected to behave? This is a fundamental value. Our puja, Swami would call it common sense dharma. Because at least human beings have that common sense. So even if I do not know any other scriptures and any other values, if in a given situation I take a moment to determine how am I expected to respond, Lord Krishna says, Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham vayadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. In every situation of sukha or dukkha, a person conducts himself or herself with others as he or she would conduct with himself or herself. Meaning that I treat others the way I would treat myself. If I were in that situation, how would I have expected to be treated? Not punished, but forgiven. Etc. All the values are contained in this. This is the primary value called non-violence. Lord Krishna says a wise person, this is a description of a wise person, who treats others keeping himself as a standard. For a wise person, it is spontaneous. He is called Paramayogi. For us, it is deliberate. Before I respond or react, I take a moment and ask myself, if I was in that situation, how would I have liked to be treated? and I attempt to conduct myself in that manner. That we call a deliberate, a vivekatmak response. That is what a human being is expected to do. That viveka, the right use of free will, is a characteristic of a human being. I'm a human being only when I act with viveka, with this deliberation. It's a tall order, I admit. But by placing this tall order on human being, Ishvara, the Lord, has created a ladder for him to climb to reach the goal of moksha. That's the purpose of giving the free will. That's the purpose of giving this consciousness, self-consciousness. And so, coming back to Arjuna, Nayotse, I will not fight, was a reaction, an impulse, and not vivekatmakam, a deliberate response. Tasmat, therefore, hey Arjuna, because your decision that I will not fight, it is of aviveka, not a result of viveka. That's all Lord Krishna reminds him of his role. You must do what is right. What is in keeping with the dignity as Arjuna? As a leader, as a Kshatriya. Right now you are imposed the responsibility of leading the Pandava army, leading Dharma. You must act as that, not as an individual Arjuna, as a nephew and cousin, and that's not you in this place. So remember your role and do what is right, that's all. It is not that Lord Krishna wants him to fight. He wants him to do what is right for his own sake. If you do what is not right, then there is a parampara. One wrong will lead to another wrong, will lead to a series of wrong. One right done deliberately has the possibility of encouraging your nature of being a deliberate person. And it can initiate a sequence of viveka, being deliberate, doing what is right. That's the only thing. Two paths are there. The path of dharma, path of adharma. Path of viveka, path of aviveka. Path of knowledge, path of ignorance. Duramete viparite vishuchi avidyaya cha vidyeti jnata. Says Lord Yamaraja to Nachiketa. Complimenting Nachiketa, praising Nachiketa. Hey Nachiketa, for a human being, these two choices are always there. Duramete viparite vishuchi avidyaya cha vidyeti jnata. These two paths are there called avidya and vidya, aviveka and viveka. Ignorance and knowledge. Or being deliberate and being impulsive here. Duramete, quite opposite to each other, leading to opposite results. It is not the situation, it is what I do, what is my response, what is my intention. That determines the destiny. One is the path of bondage, other is the path of liberation. Then Lord Krishna chooses this karma yoga. How to respond to every situation, how to provide, how to display the right response to every situation. That's all. Because there are two tendencies in us. Habitual tendency to display a wrong response and a deliberate tendency to do what is right. There also we have, if we invoke that. If we take a moment and determine what is right. Arjuna, this does not behave of you. What behaves with a human being? As a father, as mother, as daughter, as son, as whatever my role is, what is in dignity in keeping with my role? Act in a dignified manner. TasmatYudhyasvaBharat. It's a very simple choice between what I like and what is right. When I say what I like, it also means what I dislike and what is right. Every situation gives us an opportunity to assert what is right, what is appropriate, what is in keeping with the dignity that I enjoy. Each one is given a responsibility, understand? As you said earlier, we are all sent to the earth, to this human embodiment, with certain endowments. Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, the power to know, the power to will, the power to act. And that endowment is given to us. Doesn't matter how much power I have some power. You said earlier, I don't have to become somebody else and compare myself with somebody else and do what somebody else does. What do I have to do? That is called self-respect. This is what I am. These are my limitations. These are my endowments. This is my place. Doesn't matter what it is. I can be a sweeper. I can be a carpenter, a mason, an artisan, an executive, a leader. There is always some role. Every role is equally great. Unfortunately, when artha and kama, when wealth and pleasure, they become determining factors, then one role is better than other, because one role pays more than others. If dharma is the determining factor, what is right is the determining factor. Then a carpenter also has a dignity. A turner also has a dignity. A floor worker has a dignity. A supervisor, a manager, everybody has a dignity. You can be proud of what you are doing, nothing wrong in it. That's called self-respect. That kind of pride is quite in order. That I'm a carpenter. I've seen people. No, Swami, we don't do like that. I'm a turner, this is what I do. He's quite proud of what he was doing. Then what you do is a beautiful product. The carpenter can turn out a beautiful thing. The lathe can turn out a beautiful thing. A mason can turn out beautiful. It's all work of art. You can enjoy what you are doing like an artist does. It's not only an artist can enjoy his painting or a musician can enjoy his singing. A mason can enjoy his work, can he not? It's a work of art, creation. He has been given a creativity, has been given some insight. Bring that into operation, enjoy that. Enjoy your creation. Let it have your imprint, a signature. And nothing wrong in being proud of what one is gifted with and an opportunity to manifest that gift. That not only have been given the gift of a mason, I have an opportunity now also to express that gift. May I be proud. May I do my work with a dignified manner. May I enjoy what I do. Let it have the signature of what I am. Oh, this must be done by such and such person, you know. Some people are sloppy. They don't have any value for what they do. They write a letter, nobody can read that. There are people who write. Deliberately, every word and every letter can be very nicely shaped. Looking at the letter, you are pleased. The person who receives the letter is pleased. Oh, what a beautiful letter. When you receive that sloppy stuff, you know, well, I'll read later. So everybody is an Arjuna. Everybody is a leader. Everybody is dignified. That's the status every human being enjoys. Doesn't matter if I'm a sweeper. What does it matter? It can be done with dignity. With concentration, it becomes yoga. Why does Lord Krishna call it yoga? Anashritah karma phalam karyam karma karoti yah sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragdirna chakriyah. Karma phalam anashritya. Without depending upon what the reward is going to be. Without the consideration of karma phala reward. What am I going to get out of this? As you said earlier, ego gratification, sense gratification, some emotional gratification. Do I look upon the action that I am performing, the means of gratification? That's called karma phala asakti, attachment to karma phala. Or do I look upon there as an opportunity of expressing myself, my devotion to Ishvara if you want? If I'm a cook, I can do my job by keeping in mind those who are going to eat this food, and it is for their pleasure. May they be happy. That requires concentration of mind. Otherwise, you add salt twice and then you forget where you are. This Swami is going to eat this. Focus the attention. It's a nice product. Otherwise, you become somebody else and then do what you do at your home, cook something else in some other manner. Every small action can be an act of beauty, art, creation, satisfaction. Then you are satisfied. So gain your satisfaction not from outcome, from the very action itself. That action becomes the means of your gratification. So human being does need gratification, no doubt. But when that gratification comes from the appreciation of others, then it's uncertain, and you never know whether the world will reward you or not. The world can reward you today, it can punish you tomorrow. That's how the world is, and that's how the life is. That's your prarabdha. But you have the choice of seeking gratification, seeking joy from what you are doing. Then it's under your control. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You know, control over karma phala. Whether karma phala, the outcome will give you gratification or not, you cannot determine that. Karmanyavadikaraste. You have freedom, control over karma. Let karma become your source of gratification. Then nobody can deny you that. So how can I enjoy this work of sweeping? How can I enjoy same monotonous stuff every day? That's a matter of attitude. Either it's a monotonous thing or it's a new opportunity every time. Every situation you treat with enthusiasm, as an opportunity to express yourself, as an opportunity to get your gratification, doesn't matter what it is. There are bhaktas of all kinds. Shabri also is bhakta, for whom this offering was in the form of sweeping the foreyard or backyard of the rishis, front yard. Of going to forest and every day plucking fruits, getting fresh water. How can I enjoy this every day? Because she was doing it for the Lord. You are doing it for the Lord. That's called Ishvararma Buddhi. A simple act is turned into yajñārtha at karunonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. When karma is performed as a yajna, as an offering to Ishvara. But where is Ishvara, Swamiji? Where is he not? If you perform an action as an offering to Ishvara, it becomes a freeing action, a means of moksha. Perform an action to satisfy your ego, it becomes a binding action, means of bondage. The right attitude can become means of moksha. The wrong attitude can become means of bondage. That's why karma is called yoga. Yoga means a means of moksha. TasmatYudhyasvaBharat. Because, hey Bharata, this duty, this situation in which you are placed, it's not your doing, you are placed. It is simply false pride to think that I am here on my own, that I have created a situation. You haven't created it. Everybody finds himself or herself in a given situation. You're placed there. Recognize that. You are nimitta. You are just incidentally there. You may think that it is because of your free will and deliberation, but if you look at it, it's a universal situation. And you are placed there. And so recognize that, own up that, without bringing your false pride in that. I will become their killer. Who are you to decide that? That's why the sky, well, Lord Krishna said, I have already done it. You just do your duty. What's true for Arjuna also is true for us. Real doer is him only, Ishvara. He's doing through us. Let us give him an opportunity to express himself through us. Our raga dveshas block that. If you don't allow raga dveshas to determine, then Ishvara is an expression. Then you become an instrument in the hands of Ishvara. Then he can play his music in the form of your action, form of a piece of art. So Yuddha is just incidental, it only applies to Arjuna. What it means is, do your duty in every situation, because that is the means of moksha. And duty means what is doing what is right. And that depends upon what role you are playing at that time. And be humble. You have not chosen the role, you are placed in that. Be humble. You have not created a situation created for you. Recognize Ishvara is always involved in your life. He creates every situation as a blessing for you if you use it that way. Ishvara is Suhrud, your well-wisher. Always with you. In creating the situation. In placing you in a situation. In giving you that role. Giving an opportunity to express yourself. Express your devotion. Express your creativity. Express yourself. Let karma become an expression of you, the good side of you. What is best in you. That's how you grow. In your beauty and maturity. How much can you grow? You can call it process of emotional maturity, self-growth. But Swami says, you can grow to a point where there is no further growth. When will this happen, Swami? When will this happen? I don't know. Why should you worry? There's too much concern about when am I going to be liberated, Swamiji. Our Swami always pointed out. Not only Gangotri is beautiful, the path to Gangotri also is equally beautiful. Not only the goal, the moksha is wonderful, the yoga, the path to moksha is equally beautiful, equally enjoyable. If you enjoy what you do, if thus you make your life, is for you to make your life a process of happiness. That's how the shoka and moha, which are all piled up, they are removed. Yuddha, duty, what is right with right attitude. Every time we do that, the force of shoka and moha is thwarted, is subdued. This is a process of, it's a therapy of treating me. I'm suffering like Arjuna from shoka and moha. But Swami says, you become your own therapist. Uddhare atmana atmanam. By the right attitudes, right understanding, right attitudes, right action, I become my own therapist. Shoka and moha, which we said, manifest as raga dvesha, the attachment, aversion, as impulses. They're subdued. And viveka, discrimination, what is right, which is happiness. That is asserted. It's up to me to make myself happy. If I act out of viveka, or allow myself to be controlled by viveka and create misery in myself. We always can blame others, no doubt. There's no need to blame others, nor is there need to blame the self. No blame. No accusations. No blame. What is created by Ishvara. TasmatYudhyasvaBharat. So this was called yoga, yoga, karma sukaushalam. The real kushalata, this whole attitude, an expression of that attitude which comes out in the form of karma. The karma becomes an opportunity to invoke that beauty and goodness in you and express that goodness in you and become good. You're already good. But somehow force of evil seems to have distorted, and therefore don't allow them to control you. You establish the control of goodness. And slowly the force of goodness will overcome the forces of evil, because ultimately good has to prevail. Satyameva jayate nandrutam. The truth alone will prevail, because that's in keeping with the universal order, not anrutam. It may look like the evil forces are more powerful. If consistently we assert the forces of good, today or tomorrow they will win. The battle of Mahabharata lasted for 18 days and Ramayana lasted for so long. It takes a long time. Ultimately, Satya has to win. With that conviction. Arjuna, therefore, don't worry. Don't fear that you will be bound. Don't fear that you will be a killer. That's your ego, that you are doing this. Remember that you are Nimitta instrument. Ishvara is doing through you. He has placed you in the situation. And if you have the right attitude, it is not killing, it is performing your duty. In this instance, performing duty happens to bring about overcoming the force of evil and asserting the force of good. That's the role you are given. Be humble. Don't have false pride that I am doing this. I'm the instrument in the hands of Ishvara, who is acting through me. And that's the path. This is your opportunity for moksha, for liberation, for helping you. Uddharet atmana atmana. You rescue yourself by yourself. Lift yourself by yourself. Help yourself by yourself. Of course, Ishvara is there with you. The Gurus are there with you. The scriptures are there with you. They have not deserted you. Provided you are ready to receive that grace. That's what you have to do. The grace is there. But we have to be ready to receive that grace. How? By the right attitude of viveka, discrimination, of humility. That's the attitude which is conducive to receiving the grace which is always there. Arjuna, therefore, you become a successful person. Success in the right sense. Success in terms of the battle, inner battle. The external battle is symbolic of inner battle. Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna Samudbhava, Mahasana, Mahapapma, Vidyena, Mihavairinam. This Kama, Krodha, Raga, Dvesha is your enemy. To overcome that enemy. That's the battle that you have to win, that every human being has to win. That's the agenda with which we are sent here. If we thus recognize what is the agenda in our life, moksha is the agenda. And dharma or duty and the yoga is a means of that agenda. If that becomes clear, the artha kama become insignificant, of no importance. Then ego cannot assert itself, and viveka is asserting that ahankara cannot assert itself. It's a process. Not that we are always successful. We forget, we fall, we get injured, get up again, continue. As long as this basic scheme of life is understood, then you will make the right choices whenever you are deliberate. It will happen that sometimes you are controlled by impulses. You make wrong choices and behave in a wrong way, invite pain for you. It will happen. Review what happened. Recoup. Again. Regroup yourself. Your own army is again properly assembled. And continue the battle. So what is this battle for Arjuna? Is a battle for us also. It's the battle between devatas and asuras, between the divine tendencies and the demoniac tendencies. And that's a battle that we as human beings have to fight. There is no choice. Arjuna, there is no choice. If you run away from this situation, don't think that your nature is going to spare you. Prakritisthvam niyokshati, your nature will control you today or tomorrow. So we cannot drop out of this battle of life. It will catch up with us one day or the other. So recognize the scheme of life. Recognize what the goal is. Recognize what the agenda is. Recognize what the role and values are. Gain a clarity about this. Develop commitment for this, which comes from clarity. More clearly we understood the scheme of things, more conviction arises. I can make mistakes, again I can recover. So life is like a battle, if you want to call it. Like the battle of Mahabharata. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutihi, Dhruva Nitir Matirmama. The Lord is always there. You always keep Him on our side. Make that choice. That Arjuna made that choice. Duryodhana chose the army. Arjuna chose the Lord. Army is artha kama. Ishvara is dharma. We choose Him every time. Tatra Shrihi Vijaya Bhutihi. Then the true victory is going to be there. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Yogeshwara Krishna is there. And Dhanurdhara Partha. Not Partha who has discarded his Dhanu, bow and arrow. One is wielding the bow and arrow. Who is striving, making the right effort. Keeping in mind Ishvara is always with me. When that combination is there, there will be success in life. There is no question about it. That's what happened to Arjuna also. And we pray that it happens to us also. The grace of the teachers, grace of the scriptures, grace of Ishvara. That we have the viveka. That we are always guided by viveka or discrimination. Not controlled by impulses. It is possible that we can make a mistake. Even after deliberating also, we can do something which is not right. That's possible. That doesn't matter. As long as it's a deliberate behavior, then you know that you have made a mistake, you can correct it. Mistake is not a problem. Impulse is a problem. From mistake we can learn and grow. From impulse we cannot learn, we cannot grow. So our life should become vivekatmaka, deliberate, which someday will culminate to be sahaja or spontaneous. That is called sthita prajna. That's the goal. It doesn't matter how far that goal is, as long as it is clarity and we adopt the right process. The process is important. Enjoy the process. The outcome will take care of itself. We can leave that to Ishvara. Let him decide when will it happen. We have to decide the process. With that, I conclude this series of talks. Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari